So, a pleasant morning to each and everyone. The next topic that we will going to discuss is all about the depreciation and the depletion. So, we are the reporters for topic number 2. My name is Freah or Sanchez together with Maricris v. Clarion. So, the objectives of this topic: first, to provide for the replacement of the equipment either at the end of its physical or economic life or at the time when its operation no longer results in a satisfactory profit. The second, to provide for the maintenance of capital to replace the decrease in a value of equipment caused by physical or functional causes. So, depreciation. So, it is defined as the decrease in a value of property such as machinery, equipment, or other structure due to the passage of time. So, ang depreciation kay mao ni siya ang decrease sa imuhang value sa imuhang property. For example, mga machinery, equipment, or other structure na imuhang nagamit and then nag-decrease na ang value tungod sa kadugayon sa time. So, these are the types of depreciation. The first one is the physical depreciation, and the next one is the functional depreciation. So, ang physical depreciation is also termed as the internal cost for depreciation. So, it includes the deterioration due to the effects of various chemical and mechanical factors on the materials composing the property. Next is the wear and tear due to abrasion, friction between moving parts of equipment, impact, vibration, or fatigue of the materials in the property. So, ang wear and tear, kay mao ni siya ang damage nga nahitabo sa isa ka object sa ordinary use during a period. So, the next type of depreciation is the functional depreciation, or termed as the external cost for depreciation. So, it includes the inadequacy of the equipment, the obsolescence caused by the invention of more efficient equipment and machines to perform the same task, changes in methods of production, changes in style and designs of the goods produced on the equipment, and the transfer of population due to various causes. So, kaning obsolescence, it is the loss of value resulting from the external economic factors to an asset. So, mga other external economic factors, mo na siya ang obsolescence. So, apil po pwede ay sa types or causes of depreciation, which is ang kaning changes in the price level of similar properties. So, let's move on to the depreciation cost. So, ang kaning depreciation cost is nagadepend siya sa physical or economic life of the equipment and its first cost. So, ang physical life, kay mao ni siya ang period of time that an asset remains functional. Then, ang useful life, kay mao ni siya ang period of time over which the equipment will depreciate. And then, ang first cost, kay noon ni siya, it includes the original purchase price, freight and transportation charges to the site, installation expenses, initial taxes and permits to operate, and all other expenses needed to put equipment into operation. So, there are various methods in order to determine the depreciation cost. So, we will going to discuss these methods one by one. So, the first method, which is the straight line method. So, it is the simple and is more widely used than any other method. So, mao ni siya ang pinakagamit kaayong formula, which is ang kaning straight line method. So, sa kaning method, the loss in value is considered to be directly proportional to the property. No interest is assumed to be paid on the amounts set aside in the depreciation fund. So, we will going to adopt these following symbols. So, N, so it is the useful life of the property in years. M, age of the property at any time less than or equal to N. D is equal to annual cost of depreciation. D sub M, accrued or total depreciation up to M years. C sub O, original or first cost of the property, C sub M, book value of the property at the end of M years, and C sub N, book value at the end of life, N years, or it is also called as the salvage or scrap value. So in order to solve for the straight line, using the straight line method, we will going to use this formula. D is equal to C sub O minus C sub N over N. And then if we were going to get the the accrued or total depreciation up to M years, or the D sub M, we will going to use this formula, C sub O minus C sub N times N over N. And then if we were going to get the book value of the property at the end of M years, so the formula is C sub O minus D sub M. So the next method is the sinking fund method. Diri ang method, it is assumed that a sinking fund is established in funds will accumulate for replacement purposes and will bear interest. The total depreciation which has occurred up to any given time is assumed to equal the amount of the sinking fund. Using the same symbol as those for the straight line formula, so the formula of this sinking fund method, so D is equal to C sub O minus C sub N times 1 over the functional notation of the F over A, comma I, comma N. So kaning F over A, comma I, comma N. So mao ni siya ang uniform series compound amount. So mao ni siya ang formula if we are going to get the D. So in solving the D sub M, we will going to use this formula, C sub O minus C sub N times the functional notation F over A, comma I, comma M over the functional notation F over A, comma I, comma N. And then if we're going to get the C sub M, so it is C sub M is equal to C sub O minus D sub M. So the next method is the Matheson method, and the basic assumption for this method is that the annual cost of depreciation is a constant percentage of the salvage value at the beginning of the year. So in this method, it assumes that annual cost of depreciation is a percentage of the book value at the beginning of the year. Addition to the previous symbols for the straight line formula, let K is be equal to ratio of the depreciation in any 1 year to the book value at the beginning of the year. This is constant throughout the life of the property. So if we're going to solve for K, we're going to use this formula. K is equal to 1 minus M square root of C sub M over C sub O is equal to 1 minus N square root of C sub N over C sub O. And then if we're going to get the D sub M, we're going to use this K times C sub M minus 1. And if we're going to get the C sub M, so C sub M is equal to C sub O times 1 minus K over raised to the power of M. And then for C sub N, we will going to multiply the C sub O to 1 minus K raised to the power of N. So the next method is the sum of the years digits, or SYD method. So it provides very rapid depreciation, the early years of life of the property, and therefore enables faster recovery of the capital. So it is much easier to use than the Matheson formula. So these are the steps in the method. The first one is we will going to determine the sum of the years of the life of the property. If N is the life of the property in years and nothing but the digits, and form an arithmetic progression, then the summation of years is equal to N over 2 times N plus 1. So next is we will going to determine the loss in value due to the depreciation, C sub O minus C sub N. The next, the respective annual depreciation charges are, for the first year, C sub O minus C sub N times N over the summation of years. For the second year, C sub O minus Cn times the n minus 1 over the summation of years, and so on and so forth. And note that the annual depreciation charge gradually decreases as the property gets older. The depreciation for the first year is n times the depreciation charge for the last year, n. So, for example, for any year m that m is less than or equal to n, the annual depreciation charge is solved using this formula. D sub m is equal to C sub O minus C sub n times 2 times n minus m plus 1 over n times n plus 1. So the next method is the serviced output or production method. So depreciation during any year is charged on the basis of actual service rendered or actual units produced by the property during the year. So in this method, it is assumed that the total depreciation that is taken place directly proportional to the quantity of the out of the property up to the time. So these are the symbols. So lahi siya sa symbols na nadungag na mga bag-o nga symbols. Lahi siya sa katong nauna nga method sa straight line, sa mga symbols sa straight line. So T is equal to the total units output produced during the life of the property. M is equal to age in years of the property at any time. Q sub M is equal to the total units of output during year M. D sub M, depreciation charge during year M. C sub O is equal to original cost of the property. C sub N is equal to book value at the end of life, or N years. So the depreciation per unit of output is if we're going to solve this, we will going to use this formula. D1 is equal to C sub O minus C sub N over T. And for DM, or the depreciation charge during year M, DM is equal to Q sub M times, or D1 is equal to C sub O times C sub N times the Q sub M over T. So guys, we have here sample problems. So we'll try to solve these problems using the methods that I have discussed. So the first problem, a civil engineer bought a Grand Tree crane for erecting tall buildings. It was invoiced from Japan CIF, cost, insurance, freight, Manila at 250,000 pesos, brokerage bank, arrest fees, customs duties, permits, and etc. total of 120,000 pesos. At the end of 10 years, he expects to sell it for 250,000 pesos. Prepare a depreciation schedule for each of the following methods. A. Straight line formula. B. Sinking fund formula at 12%. C. Matheson formula. And D. SYD method. So, first we're going to input the given. So, in order to get the first cost of the property, we will going to add the 250,000 pesos plus 120,000 pesos, a total of 370,000 pesos. And the book value, or the salvage value, is equal to 50,000 pesos, and the number of years is equal to 10 years. So the formula of the straight line. So D is equal to C sub O minus C sub N over N. So is equal to 320,000 pesos over 10 is equal to 32,000 pesos. So mao na ni siya ang atuang depreciation. So in creating a depreciation schedule for straight line formula, so kani siya na sa table, we will going to put the year, the book value at beginning of the year, the depreciation, and the book value at the end of the year. So ang atoang book value sa year 1 is 370,000 minus the depreciation of 32,000 is equal to 338,000, and then so on. I-minus lang nato ang book value sa beginning of year sa depreciation, and we will get the book value at the end of the year.